All right, hey, we got Tim Boetsch. He's here with us tonight is UFC fight night in Broomfield, Colorado. Field Nutrition is super proud to have Tim Boetsch on our side, and we're going to ask some questions here. I just want to kind of get started with you. There's a lot that we're really interested in. Well, I mean, I guess to kind of get started, can you tell us, how did you get into this whole thing to start with the UFC and MMA?
Well, I started mixed martial arts about a year and a half ago. My roommate in college has been a professional fighter for about 4 or 5 years, and he called me a year and a half ago and asked me what kind of shape I was in, and asked me if I'd be interested in doing an amateur fight. I've been a wrestler my whole life, so I've always wanted to be involved in competition. And at that time, I was lifting a lot of weights and going to pursue a bodybuilding career just so I can be involved in competition. But that didn't really play out for me, and that just wasn't my ball game. But I went out to Iowa and had 2 amateur fights and finished both guys in under a minute in the first round. Wow. So I was like, okay, maybe I got something here. And from there, we just steadily, went to the next level. I had my first pro fight. I had those 2 amateur fights, then immediately turned pro. Won my first pro fight, TKO in the 3rd round, and just from there continued to progress. Learned some more techniques, and just been really working on my game. And here I am today in the UFC, a year and a half later.
I think what you're well known for is the knees to the face, and then following it up with the with the knockout punch. Is that what you consider one of your signature moves?
I wouldn't say that I have a signature move. I'm going to use whatever technique I can to finish the fight. I've got a lot of tools available, whether it's striking or submissions or just straight wrestling and a body slam or whatever. Wherever the fight goes, I've got weapons to finish the fight. And, I'm going to utilize whatever I can to inflict as much damage on my opponent as possible. If I see something that I can use or think fits my style of fighting, I'm definitely going to implement that. And, I think that's how I've been able to progress so quickly and been able to, pick up the striking and whatnot, because, I didn't start striking until about a year ago. My first few fights, I relied just on my wrestling and athletic ability, so I've only been throwing punches and really studying striking for about a year now.
Really?
Yeah.
So before that, were you mostly doing submission type?
Mostly it was just ground and pound, take the guy down and try and beat on him as much as possible, and just throw hands. But I didn't really have much technique and didn't really understand that side of the game very well.
So how do you feel about the submission versus the stand-up shoot fighters, whatever, in the UFC? I mean, you're probably more considered a stand-up fighter. There's a lot of guys who are submission fighters. Some people don't really like one or the other. What do you feel about that?
Well, I think you need to know it all. You have to be proficient in everything, obviously. But my style, I prefer more exciting. I find it more exciting to watch 2 guys stand and bang it out and really be aggressive and get after it. But some people enjoy the technical game. It might not look as exciting on the ground, but there's a lot going on in there with the submission technique and the positioning. So if you understand that side of it, but a lot of the fans watching, I think they're with me. They want to see a knockdown, drag-out fight.